We'll get started in a few minutes.
It is.
If we can get everybody to take their seats, they'll be bringing out our guests. Lottie, come on down. We got room here in the front, all the way here at the end. Tyler, there's room on the far end in the second row there. All right, everybody look good, feel good? You ready to sing? No, that's not you. They are coming, I promise. I've seen them all. There we are. Thank you. Well, yeah, they moved them around, so they're in order. Yep, there you go. All right, come on. All right, is everybody ready? Okay. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, I would like to welcome you all to the Conference Center. Like so many people around the world, Christmas is not only my birthday, but my favorite time of the year. It is the season of lights and of hope and of joy and of our Savior. And one of the things that makes the holidays so special is music, and especially the music of the Tabernacle Choir. So thank you for coming today. We are so glad that you are here. Joining me on stage for today's press conference are Mike Levitt, president of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, our fantastic singer, Ruthie Ann Miles, acclaimed actor, Dennis Haysbert, our special surprise, for those of you who came last night, Dr. Charles Mooley, and Mac Wilberg, the choir's music director. So as we begin, we will have brief remarks from President Levitt, and then I will open things up to questions from the audience. President.
Thank you. This performance is the Christmas spirit on monumental scale. And I'd simply like to say to Ms. Miles and Mr. Haysbert, Dr. Mully, we are deeply grateful that you have loaned your abundant talents and your remarkable story to this purpose. And to my respected, and I might add, brilliant colleague, Mac Wilberg. Mac, these folks would much prefer to hear your insights than mine, so take it away.
Well, hardly, but thank you. What a pleasure it has been to work with our two guest artists, and as President Levitt has already said, this wonderful surprise of having Dr. Mully with us. Several months ago, when we had our first meeting with Ruthie Ann, which was a virtual meeting, and eventually we met face-to-face in New York City, we knew that we were in for a wonderful experience together. I was a missionary in South Korea many years ago, and as we talked about Ruthie Ann's childhood, I felt like that I knew her already, and that I knew her mother, whom I have yet to meet, but her mother, as a church musician, would spend many late nights in the copy center copying, collating, and stapling music or bulletins or other things, and Ruthie Ann said that she was her right-hand person for all those things, and I can really relate to that, and hopefully we'll be able to meet your mother while she's here in Salt Lake City. But Ruthie Ann has brought, I guess, what you would call a delicious warmth to our performances, and we look forward to more. And then, of course, we are so honored that Dennis is with us. Sometimes you hear the voice and you don't see the person, but you know the person behind the voice. And to have both the person and the voice with us for this event is very, very special. And then the frosting on the cake is having Dr. Mully with us and sharing his truly remarkable life story. And so thank you for not only your life, but letting us share it with literally millions of people who will hear and experience this concert in the months to come. So thank you to all of you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. A little bit of housekeeping for our reporter friends. Following the press conference, we are going to excuse Ruthie Ann. She's not doing any one-on-ones. We are going to save that delicious voice for the audiences tonight. But we will make time for a few minutes for one-on-ones with our other guests. So if you have questions for Ruthie Ann, I encourage you to ask them while she's here. But now we will open time up to all of you here in the audience while you're here. So if you have questions, raise your hand. Christine.
Christine Rapley with Church News. Hi. So this is for all the guests. When did you first hear of the Tabernacle Choir? What are some of your early memories of knowing about the Tabernacle Choir?
I've heard about the Tabernacle Choir for years. I mean, for as long as I can remember. I have very good friends here that are involved with the church in a very deep way. I don't want to drop names, but I will, the Bennetts. And they're very dear friends of mine, and I've been hearing about the Tabernacle Choir for the longest time. I mean, I think the nickname they have is for Motabs, you know, and which I think is cute. But I'm just overwhelmed being in this theater, because as vast as it also gives you a good hug. And I have the privilege of starting, my story, starting, Dr. Mully's story here in the theater itself. And it's very intimate. I'm surprised at how intimate it is. It's 21,000 seats in here, I think. And it's incredible. So to answer your question in my long-winded way, I've known about the Tabernacle Choir for quite some time, and especially this thing. I love that organ.
Thank you. As dear Mac was mentioning, my mom is a musician herself and choir director, and also the church organist and church pianist and music pastor. And so music really was the way that my mom and I communicated. She's a single mom. I'm her only child, and she's an immigrant, and we both came to the States when I was 5. So we had we only spoke Korean at home until I began to be forced to learn English here in America. And then eventually our language became further and further apart, and our connection became further and further apart. And as her only child and my only parent, we had this bond that, we had to have, but also language became harder. And so music became that language for us. And my mom would speak with me always in terms of trying to teach me around, listen to this, Ruthie. Do you hear what's happening here? And so music became the language that we would connect, and we would bond, and we would love, and we would sing together. She taught me, I think I told you, Mac, one of the games that my mom and I would play, and this is when, of course, I'm a teenager, I'm very cool, and being with my mom all the time is not cool. And so we'd be in the car, and things would be tense, and she'd say, do you want to play? I said, yeah. And so we'd pick a song, and my mom would sing a harmony, and in our heads we would hear the melody, but nobody could sing the melody. So she would sing a harmony, I would sing a different harmony, and eventually it was, if something was tense, it would feel like, this is just a game we're playing. This is the way to pass the time. We've got 45 more minutes to go. But then we would end up, by the end of that trip, laughing and giggling because, you jumped on my note. You took my harmony. Oh, you did the tenor. You said you were going to do the second alto. So this was the way we communicated. And I was telling you in the beginning, she would have me listen to recordings and the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. The Tabernacle Choir was a lot of that recording. We would listen to a lot of church music, chamber music. My mom would prepare Easter cantata, Christmas cantatas for her choir, and so I'm very familiar with church music, and the appreciation that I always had, the discipline that your choir and your orchestra has is, there are really not many words to describe the feeling that I receive when I listen to that discipline and just the tonal harmony that happens together. So my very long-winded way to tell you is that I have listened to the Tabernacle Choir and Orchestra for a very long time, and I have admired the musicianship of everybody that I heard on the recordings, and I could never have imagined that one day I could be on the stage and performing with them, with the additional gift of having my mom in the audience. Yeah. Thank you for your question.
I wanted to ask Dennis, your presence here at the concert was only just announced kind of at the last minute. Tell me how it came about. Mac, was this in the works for a while? I was curious at the beginning, wondering if there was going to be a narrator or not when Ruthie Ann was initially announced. So how did you end up here?
Well, this is probably a better question from my manager. But when I heard about it, and I heard about what the story was about and who the story was about, it was a done deal. And we had that symbiotic relationship with my manager and I. She'll see a project come up, and sometimes she'll just say yes, and then work out the details with me later. So this was a no-brainer for me, and especially when I started to read the script, and I just said, wait a minute, what? This is true? It was hard for me to get through the first paragraph. So I had to work on diffusing that because right there, that first paragraph, killed me. To find out that somebody was left alone at 6. I can't imagine a child walking to the end of the block in any city in America at 6, much less, walking 3 days to Nairobi through, a jungle with all the, the animals and the predators, human and animal, on that road. I couldn't fathom it. But apparently it happens a lot. So I said, I have to tell the story. I have to be the one to tell the story. And when I was told I was going to meet this gentleman here, it's like meeting, a lost friend. And I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional about this. And, it's hard to get through the story. It is really hard to get through the story. But I love the feeling that comes over me when I do tell it. Because I think everyone on the planet should hear stories like this. Yeah. Because I believe it would bring everyone closer together. Because we are all we have. Yeah. And I wish people would really understand that. When you think about this man and what he went through, you don't see color, you don't see race. I mean, we are all one race. We are human beings, and we're in this together, or we're going to dissipate together. So what would you rather do? So to answer your question again in my long-winded way, it was a story. I had to do it.
There's a hand on the end.
Humor me. I wish you were still president.
God bless you.
When you guys were there last night, I was really surprised when you walked up, And when the two of you were sitting there speaking, just going, I was watching a teleprompter, and you guys went off script.
Yeah.
I could see that, and I could see how powerful what you were both feeling at that moment was. And that was beautiful. I was like, these guys are just in that moment. Can you just talk about that? Well, you know the part I'm talking about.
Yeah, oh yeah, at the end.
Can you just explain how you were feeling when you just had to go into that moment and talk the way that you did?
You want to go first? Well, okay. For me, we had been rehearsing it all week, and we were doing it by the lines and everything else. And though the writers really made it as authentic as they could, the more I read it and the longer I got to be with Dr. Mooley, I feel like, there was a it's like a deck of cards being folded together and blended. It was like cream and coffee. It was like once you starts to mix, it's hard not to, become close and talk about the things that, I have an incredible amount of questions. That could go on for hours, that little conversation. There's so many questions I have, so many things, but we have to keep it compressed, because we would overwhelm the audience if we spoke any deeper about it, and which may not be a bad thing. Maybe somewhere down the line we can. I'm getting an idea here. I want to go to Kenya. We decided after the first time we met that I must come to Kenya and see these children. Yeah. And to see how he works and the love I'm sure these children have for him. I need to see that. I need to feel that. So we'll be doing that, and we might. Who knows? We might do something. Might do a documentary or something. And we'll talk about that. But I don't know. I just feel like I need to see and hear more about this, because I transport. I know this is may be hard to understand, but when I tell the story, I'm not here. I'm in Kenya. And I have no idea what Kenya looks like, but I know I'm there. And then I come out of it. So, no, once again, in my long-winded way, that conversation could go on for hours.
I have a hand back there. You're going to have to speak loud.
Okay, I can even stand. No, because I'm just coming from Kenya.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, I stay in Kenya, but I'm from DRC. And then yesterday when I came here, for me it was enjoying the Christmas, everything. But your story was make me emotion that I was just crying. It was just like the story is true, you know. And then it's being myself even to my father lives because he used to be in Tanzania and Kenya. And then really, I didn't imagine that I can meet with President Barry yesterday. And then it was many things, Christmas, that things are true. Once a day we can do good things together. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Lottie.
Well, first, I just wanted to share that I received an email this morning from the article we posted.
You're going to have louder.
Okay, so I received an email this morning from the article that we posted that there is a PhD student at the University of Utah. There's a PhD student at the University of Utah who went to one of Dr. Moley's schools. So to even have that local connection, I mean, to have that nearby, that was really amazing. And so I just wanted to let you know that. But then on top of that, we've already touched on this a little bit, but Dennis, if you wouldn't mind just sharing what that was like for you to share that story for the first time to a full audience here last night, how that was for you, and then for Dr. Moley, what it was like for you to see that story unfold on the stage last night and be a part of that.
Thank you, and I want to thank you, the team or the organizers of this forum, and I'm so happy that each one of us, we have become now one. We are moving on the same direction, and I remember 4 days I left Kenya, and I was sent by the children, my wife Esther, to bring best wishes for Christmas for all the people in Utah and the USA. Just coming to your point is that having had a rough time when I was a child, and at the age of 4 or 5 years, when my dad used to come very drunk and had to fight my mother and every day. And when I saw also, I remember blood, coming from our mouth, and then we were not able to get our rights as children, and so our rights were set off by my father because of his behaviors of addiction to alcohol, and at the same time also to drugs like marijuana. That's what I got to know later. And the 5 years I was left, and I did not know where my fathers were, and I suffered so much. I could not go to school, and getting food, accommodation was really very tough. But for 10 years, God really made me to survive. I think and I believe He had a purpose for my future. And when I was 10 years, I wanted to commit suicide. And I went to a place where I stood on a high branch, and the cacao were passing by, and only to find somebody who came behind me, and he just bit my shoulder behind because I was looking down. And then I looked, and then I didn't look the second time. Then I looked at him, and he said, well, I would like to invite you to a church meeting where we have, because it was on Sunday, And then I thought, well, I never knew about Christian ethics and so forth. And therefore, I said yes, and I followed that man. I've never seen that man since then. And then we went to that church, and during that time, the young people, everybody was dancing, and in the African context, it was really nice and beautiful for me, though I had not really yet decided what to go. However, in a short time, a priest or a preacher he started speaking about the power of forgiveness and how Jesus came so that we may have that freedom and salvation, and through his redemption we could become the children of the Most High God. I believed on that. I was laid hands, and then I said, yes, Jesus. I raised my hand, and that I became a Christian in the year 1966. And so that was gone, and then after about a year later, then I was on my way to Nairobi to look for a job. I worked in Nairobi for a little while, and just try to summarize so that you get to know the background. And then where I got a job, I was able to be placed for another higher level. There was a British company. They used to do a lot of farming and in planting pineapples, and also keeping cows and many other things. And so I was employed there, and I got a good salary, which was not very good, but to start with. And I was promoted to become assistant manager. It never took too long. Then I resigned from that company. I joined another company making roads in Kenya. And that was in the year 1968, 69, all the way until 1972 is when I quitted, and I had bought 2 vehicles aiming to start a business of taxes in Eldoret. And the Lord, our God, really had favor on me. Whatever I touched, it flourished. But I worked 18 hours every day, overtime, and that made me also to get some money. And then when I started the business, it went on up to real estate. I had a transport company, as well as also sales of oils and gas in the whole of part of Western Kenya. And I was also able to get market in Congo, DRC. And all this went so well on my side, and I became a very worthy young man. And by the time 40 years, I quitted as the Lord God touched my heart again, having denied to give street children who came to beg me as I parked a vehicle in Nairobi. And then I felt like, wow, I was very poor, like these young people are running here. And for many years I forgot where I came from. That is a very common nature of humankind, to forget. It's very easy. When you are equipped or you forget. Then I heard that voice, and the God was able to give me assurance. And that assurance was that I'll be with you. And you have to give everything, nothing of yours. And I said, God, I surrender at the age of 40 years. And straight away, I went on to start the work. My family of 8 children, and my wife also, we had a dinner. Then I disclosed exactly what was inside me and what I had decided and promised God in a car for 4 hours. And they were terrified. They did not know what to do, because they thought, now Dad is giving everything away from us. Even the house where we are staying, living in very big house. They could not understand, and they wept. And the following day, I went to the street, and then I started now talking to children and giving them bread and milk, and continue to give them the word of God, and loved them. And that's where the word "Oe," that's where it came from, which means peace, peace be with you. And that one was very powerful to the girls, the boys, and everybody who had me, because it was the first thing. And God used that one again now to draw all these young people. And therefore, I gave everything. And now, it is amazing, amazing, because of the transformating power that many children, over 35 children, that 5,000, as well as also those who are in the communities, different from what we care. We have our 11 campus, and 9 of them are in Kenya, 2 are in Tanzania. And then we have all the children that we care for in Kenya and Tanzania, 8,000 plus. And then they get free love of Jesus Christ. They get free food, they get free education, and we have our own school. Schools right from kindergarten, school for young kindergarten and higher primary school, secondary school. We have also college, Muli College, and all this is, we don't charge anything. And I just want to come to that point, that when we profess and we talk about God, God is really real, because I've seen it. And the children who have gone through that program, we have been able to educate them up to university level, having degrees, qualified for degrees in medicine, as well as also law and many other. And so where we are at this moment is that it is only the Lord who can do all this, because it is a huge ministry. And today, is it today? No, tomorrow, we are going to give over 5,000 people food, 5,000 families, those we are going to give. Because of a lack of money, they are very poor people in our region. And so every day, every time, we give them free food for Christmas and a Christmas gift. We also give schools, our primary schools, from which are owned by the government of Kenya. We give them 71 schools, public, with about 24,000 children. We give them 1 meal per day, only lunch. And that one, it comes to about 34,000 meals that we give in a month. And when we see that, then we say, wow. I say, as the founder, by faith, it is by faith that you can do great things not for yourself, but for the one who lives with us here, but above. That is our God. And therefore, I'll wait for another question, and I'll be very much ready to respond. Otherwise, thank you also, my dear brother, your younger brother. I've come to discover that.
Thank you, Dr. Moli. That was beautiful.
Yeah. And therefore, thank you for having accepted to narrate about my life story, and also my dear sister here also having done a great job, part of what has been going on this year, and the Secretary General of the Church of Christ here in this country. I'm so happy to have this chance to talk and share about how God is bigger and He is very loving God. And to my left also, thank you so much for all of you allowing me to come. It is a great thing that you have done, not to me, but to the entire world, that we need to move forward and have that belief and know that we are here for a little while. And when I see that the years, I'm 76 years old now, and out of the 76 years old, how many? What about I say, God, 20 more years? Then that will be about 96. But still, nothing more that you can do better. What you have done, you have invested. And let us not wait until when we are completely finished. Let us work for the Lord, our God. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you, Dr. Mully. Daniel, behind you, and then you.
Hi. Oh, thank you. Haley Westwood with BroadwayWorld.com. First of all, I want to say, Dennis, I understand now what you mean when you say you have 1,000 questions you could ask him, because I have so many. I would love to hear so much more. We are all blessed to hear about your story and for you all to share your gifts with us. Thank you. But I would be remiss being here for Broadway World to not ask Ruthie Ann a question.
Hi,
So,
Haley.
Hi, thank you for being here. I actually had the pleasure of seeing you in Sunday in the Park with George, so it's wonderful to see you again.
Thank you.
But of all the amazing venues you've sung in, what is special about this one, and why is this such a unique experience? Could you just talk about that compared to some of your other experiences?
You know, the very first time that I stepped into this space was on Monday afternoon, and I could see, of course, how very large it is. And you can't even call it a proscenium. It's not quite a thrust stage because the audience goes almost beyond the stage level. But what's surprising is, as high and as far as it goes, it's very intimate. And I know, Dennis, you use this word also to describe it. It is very intimate, and there are not very many stages that feel this kind of connection with the audience with this huge scale. And so I have performed in large spaces before. The Hollywood Bowl has 18,000, but it's outdoors, and so you've got the sound bouncing off of the hills, the Hollywood Hills. And at the Capitol, we have the lawn, the Great Lawn, and so the sound is going through off all the buildings, and it just kind of goes in one direction. I have not sang in a space this large, at this magnitude, that also feels somehow like a Broadway house. Very close, very easy to connect with people. I can see people's eyeballs. I can look straight into people's eyes and speak with them, which is my favorite way of telling stories, right? But I will also say one thing. I was speaking with David, it might have been yesterday. We had a very short walkthrough. We were talking about the sound, the way that the sound moves, and Mac and I were discussing why we don't have a monitor at the back of the house, and it's because between what the singer or the performer can hear, there will be some delay. And so David was explaining to me, even the millisecond delays in the way that sound bounces, we can't have monitors there. It's better to use eyeball contact. And David was explaining to me how every level of this theater, the delay is marked by milliseconds so that it all sounds like it's coming in at the same time. But we know physics. That is not actually what's happening, right? So there's a lot of science, very, very high-tech technology happening in this space. And it is, it would be remiss of me not to mention that the thought and the care that went into making this space as comfortable and intimate for the people on this side of the stage, so that it can be delivered as accurately and personally for the people on this side of the stage. It's very, very special. It's very big, but very, very special.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Haley.
Daniel.
And I would follow up with that. How I know your rehearsal time is very limited. Being here, you mentioned you just got here Monday. How do you gel with such a large choir? How is that experience combining your voice with them? And Mac, from your perspective as music director, how do you combine a guest artist with your existing 360 or so voices?
Can I say, I was so surprised to hear, Mac, that the first time you had the orchestra and choir together, rehearsing at the same time, was with me on Tuesday afternoon. That was the first time that 500 people got together to do it. And the choir and orchestra are both so disciplined and so accurate and so intentional with their musicianship and their instruments, you know, vocal instruments as well as physical instruments, that it was easy. Dare I say easy? Because everyone knew exactly what their piece of the puzzle was in the entire picture, and everyone came prepared with their top game. And so Tuesday it flowed so smoothly. The hardest part was walking around in the heels and trying not to trip on a dress. That really was it. Yeah, please, Mac.
Well, I would agree. It was very. In fact, we really just ran each piece once.
Once, I think.
Ruthie Ann came very well prepared. We were very well prepared, and so we just put it together, and it was very easy.
It feels like pieces of a puzzle. Just
That's
like
right.
you work on this corner piece
And
and
it
you work
finally
on that
comes
corner
together.
piece, and you're like, oh, wow, it fits perfectly. And now look, we've got a finished piece here.
Right. All of Ruthie Ann's pieces, we only did them once on Tuesday. We did them once on Wednesday, and the third time was last night.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And it's really leadership. It really is. It's the leadership, top down, that makes people, you know, who are working within the company feel like they trust you, and they trust Ryan, they trust all the staff you have, the assistants you have. That's the product. And it comes from trust, and it really does come from you, Max. So,
Well, we
thank you.
We do work on discipline.
I feel.
I often have people ask me, it must be just really this great thing, and it is it's a magnificent privilege, but I always say it's a lot of hard work.
A lot of hard work.
It just doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to have it all come together, and so easily as it has this week,
Yeah.
that's really a great blessing to us. So thank you.
I agree.
Thank you for what you brought and making it so easy for us.
Thank you, Mac. Thank you for your question.
All right. Ruthie was asked how she felt coming on stage for the first time. Dennis, it's kind of a giant stage. What was it like for you walking out last night with this full hall?
Well, I was here Monday as well, so I got a chance, and I start in the theater. So it was that walk from the aisle to the stage seems like forever. and I'm saying, okay, it's like a pregnant pause, you know. But you know what it is it's a bracing, you know, and the audience gets a chance. Okay, they're breathing now. They get a chance to breathe, because I know that they're not going to be able to breathe that easily once I start. And I'm a very emotional man, and I have to say that when I start to speak and Mac's music comes up, I almost lose it, because with film and everything else, you know, you can have a scene and the scene works perfectly until you lay that music on top of it. And as that music is coming in, I'm saying, whoa, the first time I heard it, and it was just the piano during the rehearsal, and when the whole orchestra and the choir was there. I don't know how I get through it, you know, but something, you know, helps me steel myself so I can, you know, get through, because I could be blubbering through every line. And now that he's actually heard the story, even in, you know, just the short way that you just put it, that's going to add 2 or 3 more layers to what I do tonight. Because now I understand. I mean, I understood it before, but to hear it to hear the story come out, and then to lay on top of that the music, you know, because sometimes it's just in the back of my mind, but I hear the note, and then I speak, and it's just oh gosh, I wish I had more control over my words today, because I sit here, you know, completely overwhelmed, and well, I shouldn't say overwhelmed, whelmed. And it is to steal another word, a delicious feeling to be able to utter these words along with the music and along with the choir, and them being so close in proximity. It just leaves me full, and I just hope that it's translating out to the audience, and apparently it is. But it is such a glorious feeling to be able to be in this space and deliver this work and deliver these words, and to know that they are true. And for the audience to be hearing this, I wish everyone in the world could hear this. I really do. And I know there's different stories. I'm sure there's stories about Vietnam, Cambodia, other places in the world, and people that have lived this sort of life. I wish all those stories could come to life as this one has, because we deserve to hear it, and we deserve to feel it, and I think that's the most important thing in any kind of programming. Is the audience to feel what's going on. So that's about it for me.
Yeah,
May
Ruthie.
I add one thing?
Of course.
One thing that really took me by surprise when I first came was the teamwork, the collaboration that was happening between all the departments. In theater, our background, it is not a 1 or 2 or even 5-person man show running, something like a Broadway show. It's very many different departments, but every single person was working so it was a united front, everyone coming forward. My best interest is your best interest. Everyone knew each other's names. It felt like a Broadway company, which is the reason why I love to do what I do, that storytelling, but in a company form, where you really do become family with every single person backstage. You get to know the names of your ushers, because they are just as much a part of the show as the actors on stage, who are the only people who get to take a bow at the end of the night. But it really is, maybe you see 30 people on stage, there's 150 people working behind the scenes. And so that's something that really struck me when I first came in on Monday and Tuesday, that everyone, oh, you're just, you're the missing piece that we haven't seen yet. We're going to bring you on board. And it felt like I just got, embraced into a company that I was hungry to feel. It does not often happen this way. You come in, you sing your song, and then you're gone, and this has been very different. It really has felt like a welcoming, like folding us into a blanket of love, Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? We have, okay, Christine?
Couldn't figure it out.
Okay,
It's on.
Is it on? Okay. So this concert had so many different pieces, like you talked about, but each in and of themselves, you would think, oh yeah, that's a great thing. But then all of a sudden, if you put them all together, you've got Richard Elliott's jazz organ solo, you've got your beautiful Christmas carols, you've got this incredible story. How do you work? I don't know who's the best person to answer this. How do you work to kind of bring all those seemingly independent pieces all together and make them into one fantastic concert?
I think that's a question for Matt.
Yeah.
I always explain this in terms of unity and contrast, which kind of go against each other. It's like a great meal. If the great meal has all the same taste, it's not a great meal. But if there's a little of this and a little bit of that, but it's still unified, perhaps it's been cooked by the same person. So there's a unification that comes with that experience. And so in music or in anything else, if everything is the same tempo, if everything is the same texture, it's going to sound alike. And so we strive for a unity in the program, but then lots of contrast within that unity. And it's not an easy thing to do, but we've been blessed in I hope being successful over these. It's hard to believe 25 years since well, the choir was doing the Christmas concerts long before that, but it was really with the building of this beautiful conference center that this tradition took on a new life, if you will. And so again, we've just been honored to have all of you here as part of our 25th year of presenting this program. Thank you to all of you.
All right. If there are no more questions, I know I've got to get Dennis to a meeting. We're going to let Ruthie Ann go. The others are going to stay here. We will do some one-on-ones, and then when Dennis is done with his meeting, he's promised to come back. So if you want to hang out, we'll do a series of quick, like 2-minute one-on-one interviews, pick a place, and we'll bring everybody around. We will dismiss everybody for now to go to where they need to go.
Thank you.
For those of you who want to do one-on-ones, hang out here, and we'll get those arranged. Yes.
Thank you so much. It was so fun. Okay, thank you for giving me for Kelly. It was Steph lunch.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Yes, thank you. So I guess